Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig.
You're watching Unrelenting Gaming. This is Beerus, the god of destruction. Make sure you subscribe to Unrelenting Gaming and push the like button for me, or else I'll Hakai you from existence. Oh, and to make sure to watch the entire video all the way through. And follow Unrelenting Gaming on both Instagram and Twitter. Whis, enough. On to the video.
With Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 90 now officially in the history books, Dr. Heto's mission in going after both Goten and Trunks for stealing his confidential disc from his laboratory now continues, as with Dr. Heto now being shown willing to do everything and anything that he possibly could in retrieving all of the information that was now stolen from him. The million-dollar question now moving forward is, what exactly does Dr. Heto have planned in order to use whatever means necessary to get back at Goten and Trunks, and will our heroes ultimately be successful enough in stopping Dr. Heto before he is able to continue his plans? As a quick reminder before we go deeper into this video, if you just so happen to be new to the channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then I do encourage you guys to go on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single video posted on the channel, as well as giving this video a big fat thumbs up by slapping that like button down below if you simply enjoy the content being shown within the Dragon Ball Super manga and are excited to see what the overall direction of Dragon Ball Super is going to be going forward. And if you would like to learn more and catch up on the previous Dragon Ball Super manga chapters, then be sure to go ahead and click down below in the description box in checking out the official Dragon Ball Super manga playlist, to where not only would you be able to catch up on all of the previous manga chapters that you guys may have missed, but you could also check out some of the previous moments that have unfolded and which had brought us to this very moment in time. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for your time, thank you all so much for your support, and now let's dive straight into the video. As we kick off Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 90 with policeman Krillin shown on patrol while investigating a city for a recent case of suspicious activity involving zombies, as he appears to be going around and trying to get to the bottom of who it was that was responsible for stealing the corpses at one of the local morgues, with nobody appearing to be helping his case in getting down to the bottom of this issue. Coincidentally enough, a few minutes later, to Krillin's benefit, all of a sudden he then notices a woman scurrying out a nearby store in a panic, As he just then begins to get a closer look as to what it was that he was seeing, all of a sudden on the ground, Krillin just so happens to have spotted a human eyeball that was laying on the ground until it was only seconds later where a hand was shown reaching back down and grabbing the eyeball and putting it right back inside of its socket, as indeed it now appeared as though these were the exact individuals that Krillin was in fact looking for this entire time, to which upon now being shown busting inside of the store, that's when Krillin went on to shout, "I finally found you, zombies of Mount Butterfly!" To where upon having to hear this, even the zombies themselves had sounded very confused by this, with even Mai having to ask, "What's going on?" "I'm with the police," Krillin says, "and I've got some questions about your boss. You're coming down to this station." "Oh, hey, you're Pilaf's friend, right?" "Yeah, hey," Mai says. To where upon this brief moment with Krillin now spotting Mai in the store, the zombies during this exchange were attempting to be sneaky enough in making their way out of the store until Krillin was shown pulling out his gun and shouting, "Freeze!" To where all the while in the meantime, when then venturing on over and seeing what Goten was up to, we from that point then see in fact how he was riding the flying Nimbus and having his headphones on and really not wanting to take the liberty in flying himself to school, so instead, while simply listening to music as he was making his way back within the city, he was quickly shown hopping off the flying Nimbus on a nearby rooftop and making his way down a set of fire escape stairs and onto the city streets, to which he had rather avoided by flying himself to school, so instead he wanted to take the bus. He was only then quickly greeted by one of his classmates, Chalk, as Chalk went on to shout, "The bus won't wait for long, Goten." "Oh, oops, my bad. Say, you live around here, yeah?" Chalk asks. "How come I only ever see you on the way to school?" I don't get out of the house much." "For real?" With another classmate asking, "How'd you get to be such good friends with Trunks when he's a grade higher than us, Goten?" "Well, you see, our parents are old friends, which makes us practically cousins since we've known each other forever." "Oh, neat. Okay, so anyway, I've got a big favor to ask." "Yeah?" Goten asks. "Oh, I really want Trunks to take me to the dance this weekend. Would you ask him to invite me, pretty please?" I don't know about that," Goten says. "He told me he was gonna ask Mai to go to that thing." "Well, sorry, but I don't think I can make that happen," Goten responds. "And why not?" Flyer responds. "When you're practically cousins. Trunks has got to have some swag to spare, so he's probably already got a date." "Nah," Goten responds. "I don't think he's asked anyone yet." "Well, then what's wrong with me?" Flyer asks. But then, all of a sudden, the entire bus was then beginning to shake as all of the kids were now wondering as to what the heck was going on, until outside, we then see how an individual that went by the name of Beta number 7 had stopped the bus, as Beta number 7 went on to point out, "Get out here, son Goten, we know that you're actually one of the Saiyamen." "Oh, another one of those weirdos?" Chalk chimes in. "How many is that now, and why won't they just quit bugging you?" "I don't know," Goten responds, "but it's getting old." "Here, make a quick escape," Chalk says. "Oh yeah, good thinking." To which upon Goten using this opportunity to now exit the bus and also being shown tapping onto his wristwatch and transforming into Saiyaman X2, to where as he now went to confront the new android, that was when Goten went on to shout, "Ahem, your undies are showing. I suppose a rush-jobbed android doesn't get tailored outfits? Bold of you to show yourself, Saiyaman X2." As with all of the kids now bearing witness to Saiyaman X2 beat up on Beta number 7 outside of the bus, Flyer went on to point out something very interesting in the fact that it seems a little bit too much of a coincidence that each and every single time that one of the Saiyamen shows up, that all of a sudden Goten just goes missing. It only took a few minutes for Saiyaman X2 to emerge victorious over Beta number 7, as Saiyaman X2 went on to respond, "Clean up complete." To which back at Blue Hole High School, with Trunks being shown stumbling across Compass, it looked as though Compass was beginning to hand out invitations to an upcoming dance this weekend, with Compass having to ask, "Hey, you're coming, right, Trunks? I've even managed to book Clean God. Awesome, no?" "The actual Clean God? Really?" Trunks asks. You bet," Compass responds, as he just so casually managed to kick one of the boxes behind him back further, in which which in fact it appeared as though he was going to be Clean God at this upcoming dance, with Trunks responding, well, there is someone I want to ask out. Oh my! Say, you want to go to this party with me, Trunks? As Trunks was baffled by this, with Trunks then responding, what? You're inviting me? I never would have imagined, but yeah, of course. Shoot, I better buy some new clothes too. To where, unbeknownst to Trunks, with the only individual picking up on something very unusual around them was in fact Mai, there appeared to be a little spy bee that was hovering around them, as this of course was an early prototype of Hachimaru from the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie from Dr. Hedo, in which upon having to hear about the fact that Clean God was going to be attending this upcoming dance, Dr. Hedo was now more so excited for this than anything else, as Dr. Hedo went on to ask, oh, how amazing is that? Clean God will be at that school? Listen, the hunt for the disc is on pause. I'm attending that party, he shouts. But without getting invited by a student, how's that gonna work, Alpha asks. Well, I only need to create a female student android and fast. Yes, the winds of fortune blow my way. I can meet him again. I get to meet Clean God himself, Hito shouts. To where a little later on, as Mai was shown casually tugging Goten back, as Goten was wondering as to what the heck was going on, Mai had appeared as though she was paying very close attention to all of the unusual things happening around them as of lately, with Mai responding, careful, we're being watched. If they find out where we live, then it's game over. Watched? By what? That little bug? It's in league with those androids, Mai responds. They've been monitoring us this whole time. So that's how they just keep showing up wherever I am. Beta number 1 said that he was created by Dr. Hedo, right? So I did some digging, and this Dr. Hedo guy is a famous scientist around here. And what, so he's sending androids after us? Exactly, Mai says. Unless we take Dr. Hedo down, his goons won't stop coming. Nobody knows where he's based though, so I'm planning to lure him out. Oh, okay, what's the bait, Goten asks. Hedo only showed himself one time since he went into hiding, and it was for an autograph signing with Clean God. Obviously, the guy's a big fan. Oh man, Clean God is the coolest. Frankly, I don't see the appeal, Mai responds, but I'm gonna give Hedo what's coming to him when he shows up at that party. Wait, you're gonna catch him yourself, Mai? Isn't that a job for a superhero, maybe? Listen, I'm sick of being the damsel in distress, okay? Oh, okay, fair enough, Goten says. To where as we then fast forward on the weekend of the party with everyone shown arriving, coincidentally enough, it looked as though Goten had actually taken Flyer out to the dance with him, as Goten went on to respond, wow, look, everyone's so pumped up. Ugh, remind me of why I had to come to this thing with you, Goten. Well, because you said you wanted to spy on Mai? Duh, I've got to get a read on that chick, until we from that point see a dripped out Trunks walking in with Mai, who instead was seemingly wearing a dress from top to bottom that was covered in nothing but armor, as it really looked as though Trunks was very happy to be here, with Goten having to chime in, oh, look, there they are! To which of course Flyer, obviously being a jealous female and having to see how everyone was noticing Mai's dress, the only other individual, however, that Mai had seemed to be focused on more than anyone was making sure that Dr. Hedo had in fact taken the bait by coming to this party, with one of the students then making the announcement by responding, give it up for the stationaries! Can we all get a round of applause? As everyone was now seemingly going nuts, they were all having a good time, they were all dancing, with Trunks having to respond, hey, let's go get a good view from up there, Mai. Ugh, pass. I can see fine from here, she says. Well, okay. Well, catch you after, I guess. To which as Trunks scurries away, that's when Goten went on to ask Mai, psst, Mai, you think Dr. Hedo's really going to show up? Yeah, 100%, she says. I'll know him instantly from those photos. In which the irony behind all of this, as Trunks made his way in having to get a better view of the concert, he didn't even realize that upon having to do so, that next to him, Dr. Hedo was in fact at the party there next to him, with Trunks chiming in, man, I can't wait. Oh, so you're a devoted fan as well, Dr. Hedo asks. Only the biggest fan. I may have you beat, Hedo responds, as he went on to lift his shirt and revealing a limited edition t-shirt to Trunks. Trunks looked as though he lost his mind after seeing this, with Trunks chiming in, dude, the exclusive tee from the signing session? Oh man, consider me jelly. Yes, well, that precious autograph was stolen actually, he says, and I'm hoping to get another one from him tonight. Oof, there are some real rotten people out there in the world, huh? Trunks asks, but then all of a sudden among the crowd, that's when Mai went on to shout, Trunks, stand aside! As she from out of nowhere to the the behest of all of the kids there, managed to draw a gun and aiming it directly at Dr. Hito, to which unfortunately for Mai, before she was able to actually pull the trigger, Beta number 1 ended up popping up from out of nowhere and grabbing onto Mai's gun by telling her, "Who brings a weapon to a dance, honestly? Aw, Beta." In which we also now see how in fact it was Rula that ended up bringing Beta to this party, until from out of nowhere, that was when policeman Krillin along with his other officers had bursted onto the scene by then shouting, "Halt, this is the police! Dr. Hedo, you are under arrest for robbing bodies from the morgue." As you can only imagine the thought process of each of these kids that were simply at this party to have a good time, Krillin was then shown having to thank Mai for informing him of this entire situation, with Trunks now finally having to realize that the person next to him was in fact Dr. Hedo, with Trunks then having to ask, "Wait, Hedo? So you're—" "Ah, curses, I've been spotted, but a genius scientist won't be caught with his pants down," he shouts, as within the quickness with Dr. Hedo shown unleashing a smoke launcher that went as far as to blind all of the students there, each of the kids were now shown making their way outside of the school as nobody could see a damn thing as to what was happening inside, in which as Krillin made his way out in realizing that Dr. Hito was just about to get away, that's when Hedo went on to shout, "Haha, farewell sadly for you, no authorities will ever apprehend me." "Aw, crap, he's got us good," Krillin says. "Hey, so what now, sir?" one of the officers says. "Should we pursue the aircraft?" No, he'd see that coming and avoid going back to his hideout. "I'll go after him alone and stay out of sight. That's the best way to find his lair," Krillin says. "Oh my, were you seriously gonna try and take down Dr. Hedo on your own?" "Yeah," Mai responds. "I can't stand always being the one who needs saving." "Oh, you should've just looped me in," Trunks says. "Actually," Mai responds, "your mother told me to keep an eye out to make sure that you didn't just blunder into trouble." Ouch. Her words or yours? To where right before Mai was shown giving an answer, one of the workers there made a note that the bags were in fact stolen, to which one of the bags there was in fact Trunks's, with Trunks responding, "Including mine with the disc? Oh no! Go after them," Mai shouts. "You can still catch up. I mean, you're Saiyaman X1, right?" You knew? I just thought you confused me with that other me from the future." "I realized that obviously wasn't possible," Mai responds. "You're the only Trunks I've got in this world." "Oh, the only Trunks you've got? Didn't mean it like that." Okay, listen, Mai. I'm going to catch Hedo and be the strongest, coolest superhero in the world. After that, will you let me ask you out for real?" "No, really? That's where your mind is at?" Mai asks. "No, fine. Take care of Hedo and we can go out as many dates as you want. Just hurry." "Oh, yes, ma'am," Trunks says. To which upon Beta now being shown handing on over the disc to Dr. Hito, as of course Krillin was shown having to follow his vehicle, it was from out of nowhere where both Trunks and Goten were shown having to join him, as Trunks went on to shout, "Yo, Krillin! Oh man, I wish you boys hadn't have gotten involved. So what's the deal? You want to fill us in?" "Well, no turning back now," Krillin says. "Well, I guess I just didn't want to tell your mom." The leader, Dr. Hedo, is actually Dr. Giro's grandson. Like his granddad, Hedo is a scientist who specializes in creating androids. Giro, Trunks utters. That name sounds familiar. He's the real bad dude who made Cell, right? So Hedo is in the family biz of just plotting for world domination? Well, I can't really say for sure, Krillin responds, but Hito loves research for his own sake, so he has his own androids working jobs to make money for his projects. Putting them all to work, Goten asks? Well, dedicated yet goofy all at once. The thing is, Krillin adds, there's a nastier organization operating in the shadows. Oh? How nasty are we talking, Trunks asks. Real nasty. Incoming from HQ. Shift to the side, boys. To where minutes later, with Dr. Hedo now having to finally arrive at his secret location, it was only upon him having to do so where one of his men went on to respond, "Dr. Hedo, the two Saiyaman and a copper headed this way." "Ah, curses, they tailed us?" "What now, Doc?" Alpha asks. "Do we fight them all again?" "No, you and the Alpha series are no match for them, and neither is the Beta series, so I'll just have to activate my last resort, though I have my doubts about his intelligence." To where lo and behold, the minute Trunks and Goten were shown bursting on in, that was when the boys went on to shout, "Your corner, Dr. Hedo!" But then, instead of only coming face to face with Dr. Hedo, they were now seemingly face to face with a gigantic android dinosaur, as with Dr. Hedo now being shown laughing, it was only upon him having to do so where Dr. Hedo went on to respond, "This right here is a dinosaur optimized for power. To be precise, far stronger than any android before, and so now, Dino Droid number 1, crush them!" To which upon Dr. Hedo now ordering for the attack, we then see how this gigantic biologically
got a trash bag over there somewhere. I ain't gonna leave you like that. Got a couple more nights here.
Constructed android dinosaur then immediately lunges directly at Trunks, Goten, and Krillin in a way to which the dinosaur had actually grabbed onto Goten while Krillin and Trunks were able to jump out of the way. As with Trunks shouting for Saiyaman X2, what the dinosaur ended up doing was it now looked as though the android dinosaur was seemingly in control while clutching onto Goten in one hand. The creature then immediately was shown knocking Trunks away, with Krillin now being forced and attacking the dinosaur head on, to which unfortunately for Krillin, it didn't appear as though any of his attacks were seemingly working on this dinosaur until the android dinosaur surprisingly went as far as to unleash a gigantic mouth blast, in which even left Dr. Hedo and his alpha androids completely shocked, because not even they were expecting for this gigantic monster to just rampage all around Dr. Hedo's facility, as Dr. Hedo went on to shout, "Hey, don't destroy the lab! More of the budget should have just gone into its brain," Alpha Soldier number 1 says, to which this next page, the first manga panel in particular, reminded me personally of the events of what had transpired involving Mecha Godzilla in the Godzilla vs. Kong movie, because you can now visibly see the energy rays blowing itself right through the mountains and destroying everything around the landscape, to where now it almost seemingly kind of looked as though Dr. Hedo had created Mecha Godzilla because now he was beginning to panic. It was almost kind of silly to see how Goten and Trunks were in these positions of vulnerability, because Goten was down, Trunks was down, hell, even Krillin was down, to where it almost had now appeared as though our heroes had no chance in taking this monster down, until Trunks quickly went on to act instinctively by raising his arms up in the air and blasting the dinosaur right beneath the chin, to where he was hoping this would be enough to actually get the dinosaur to let up off him, but this too had now proven to be completely unsuccessful, as Trunks went on to utter, "No way, an actual ki blast didn't work? Oh, this thing was built in a lab," Krillin went on to chime in, "so it must have some mechanical parts that are its weakness," to where with Krillin now quickly shown jumping right back into action by springing up behind the dinosaur and creating a Destructo disc, Krillin was now hoping the fact that the back of the dinosaur's neck was in fact going to be his greatest weakness, to which upon then being shown having to throw his Destructo disc as the attack went as far as to make contact, it now seemingly had looked as though the strategy in fact had worked, as the dinosaur now began to stumble on around. You can visibly now see it upon Dr. Hedo's face that he realized that this wasn't going to turn out to be good for him, which from there had ultimately prompted for Trunks and Goten to be released and now reforming and getting ready to attack the dinosaur head on, to where with both of them now fully understanding the fact that this was going to be their only opportunity in stopping this thing, neither Goten or Trunks wasted any more time by then being shown quickly jumping into Super Saiyan, with the two then being shown not wasting a single second of this precious opportunity by from there being shown dashing right into the dinosaur's stomach, and not only now resulting with the two of them having to take the dinosaur out of Dr. Hedo's facility, but they were now both looking to put an end to this android before things got out of control again, as it only now appeared as though this in fact was going to be their one and only opportunity to finally do this. It was only upon being shown driving the dinosaur further up in the air where both Goten and Trunks went on to shout, "Cyclone style tornado double hurricane attack!" to where with the two now being shown giving it all they had by synchronizing their attacks in one motion, they were finally now being shown successful enough in severing the android dinosaur in two, which not only now led to the destruction of Dr. Hedo's first gigantic monster, but with a massive explosion now being shown taking place above his facility, this in fact now was the last thing that Dr. Hedo was hoping to ever even have happen to him, as Dr. Hedo went on to shout, "Dino Droid number 1, no!" "Cleanup complete," Goten and Trunks shout, as from out of nowhere that was when Krillin was shown placing the cuffs upon Dr. Hedo's hands, and finally now being shown fully apprehending and arresting Dr. Hedo, with Dr. Hedo having tears in his eyes. That's when Krillin then went on to tell him, "You're under arrest, Dr. Hedo. Now I'll also be taking that disc too," with Dr. Hedo shouting, "No, don't!" To which surprisingly enough, upon having to open the backpack and now realizing that no, the original confidential CD that was inside from Dr. Gero was no longer there, but instead there was an autographed picture of of Dr. Hedo and Clean God that was specifically now being shown signed for him falling out, Krillin was now beginning to wonder as to what exactly this was, as Dr. Hedo went on to shout, "Give that back! Clean God signed that photo with my name and all. I value it more than my life itself." Wait, so, what? Where's the disc? Krillin asks. "I've long since memorized the data anyway, so I discarded it," Dr. Hedo says. "In any case, I never had the slightest interest in Dr. Giro's work. The disc's case was the ideal size for the photo, so I kept it safe in there until that boy stole it." "Oh, okay then," Trunks says. To which a little later on, as all of Dr. Hedo's original alpha androids were then shown having to return back home to their families, we then finally have the opportunity to see Dr. Hedo now officially be placed in prison. As the narration went on to comment, Dr. Hedo was only formally charged with the crime of stealing bodies from the morgue and putting them to work at a corner store. So for this, he only received a 3-month sentence, with Dr. Hedo responding, "I can continue my research wherever I happen to be. I only need access to a new lab and work remotely. After all, I've created Hachimaru, a more intelligent model than the previous one." To which, upon now being shown having to set Hachimaru free, that's when Dr. Hedo went on to continue, "No prison guards could hope to contain a genius scientist of my caliber after all. Giving up is not my style, not when I've yet to create the ultimate android." To which, by the very end of this, with Dr. Hedo now being shown laughing, it was only right then and there during that moment where Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 90 then comes to a close. Now, this hereby now marks the official conclusion of the Dragon Ball Super superhero prequel arc, with Toyotaro now looking to adapt the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie through the form of adding it within the Dragon Ball Super manga, which not only will go as far as to put the pieces together in number 1, explaining how everything came together to begin with, and in hindsight also giving us different perspectives of said characters, as the next manga chapter, which is that of manga chapter number 91, now looks as though it's going to be going into further explanation in revealing how Piccolo came to find out about the Red Ribbon Army, with this current manga chapter now marking the conclusion of both Trunks and Goten's story in having to pursue and go after Dr. Hedo and putting him away. What I would like to know from you guys right now down in the comment section below are 3 specific things, with that being number 1, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being phenomenal and with 1 being utter trash, what would you guys rank Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 90? Question number 2 is, now that we know that Toyotaro plans on adapting the movie through the form of giving it its own arc, how different or similar do you believe the events that will transpire in the manga will be by comparison to its movie counterpart? And lastly, question number 3 is, how far along the lines do you see the superhero arc actually going before having to further expand upon the events of what had happened with Frieza after he had put Goku and Vegeta down on planet Cereal? Because unless Toyotaro actually plans on adding different elements to the superhero arc by comparison to the movie itself, such as an example with Gotenks, perhaps maybe instead of seeing Goten and Trunks actually mess the fusion up this time around, the boys instead end up getting it right in having a perfected version of Gotenks go at it against Cell Max, to which on top of that, perhaps maybe even expanding upon the characters in adding Android 17 within the mix as well, because with Android 17 having to fit the mold in being a part of this fight as well, not only would it be a huge callback to his own character in seeing what he was up to during the events of the actual superhero movie, but it didn't really make narrative sense to only see Android 18 be a part of that fight while keeping 17 out the entire time. So perhaps maybe this time around things will be different, to where although it was cool to see Goten and Trunks successfully be able to take down a gigantic enemy in size that's a little similar to that of Cell Max, even though the twist was that this was in fact the first time that we actually got to see an android animal versus that of an android humanoid. Either way, Goten and Trunks, even as Super Saiyans, should have had no issue in dealing with such a creature. But either way, as cool as it was to see Goten and Trunks team up with Mai and Krillin in finally having to go as far as to stop Dr. Hedo's grand plan, there were other very dull moments within this manga chapter that I personally feel as though weren't necessarily needed. But by the end of all of this, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts about how you guys feel down in the comment section below, to where again, I want to thank you all so much for watching and thank you all so very much for your time, to where once more, if you just so happen to be new to this channel and of course love Dragon Ball and anime, then I do encourage you all to go on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon, so that way you guys never miss a single video that is posted onto the channel. On top of giving this video right now a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below, tune back in for more, and with that being said, said, I'm going to be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, everybody, and have a great day. Peace.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by
Thanks for calling the cover up insurance. This is Jerome. How can I help you?
Yeah, I would like to make a claim on my homeowner's insurance.
Damn, for real? What happened?
Basically, a plumber came in, beat my ass, set my house on fire.
Oh, shit, that's crazy, bro. But we won't cover that.
What you mean you don't cover it?
We don't cover house fires from plumbers.
What the fuck you mean you don't cover house fires from plumbers? What if my house was set on fire?
Yeah, if your house was just set on fire, that'd be one thing, but it was set on fire by a plumber. So for that kind of fire, we do not cover that shit, sir. I'm sorry.
What kind of specific ass dumb ass shit is that, bro? My house was set on fucking fire. Why does it matter if it was set on fire by a fucking plumber?
Because we don't cover that shit, sir. We do not cover that shit.
What the fuck? Alright, fuck it. My house was just set on fire. No plumber. No plumber.
Bro, you just told me you had a fucking plumber set your house on fire.
Bro, he was dressed like a plumber. I don't fucking know.
You was 4 seconds ago. You can't fucking backtrack in the middle of the fucking conversation, bro. Come on.
Bro, I'm gonna just hang up and call back a lie.
How the fuck you gonna tell me you gonna call back a lie, bro? We not, bro. I'm not covering that shit. I'm the only motherfucker working here anyway, so you go get me again, bro. So I'm saying right now, we not
fuck
covering.
you. I knew I shouldn't have fucking signed up with y'all bitch
Fuck
ass.
you too. Is there anything else I can help with your bitch ass today? Alright, so after the phone call, if you could just take this brief survey about your service and fucking leave a
Motherfucker, no, I ain't doing that shit. What the fuck?
Hey, Daddy.
Oh, fuck no, bitch. You gotta go.
Hey, quit playing. Come over here and smash, bro.
Bitch, no. And who the fuck tied you up?
I did. We got unfinished business. Now come over here and put it in.
Bitch, me and you is over. You got your crazy ass dude coming over here burning down my house. Are you out your fucking
You
mind?
knew what it was when we got together. Now let me get that notorious DIC.
What the fuck is a DIC?
It?
Bitch, no, it's not. That's not how you spell it. Do you know how to spell?
Who cares, bro? I do not have to know how to spell. I'm a fucking princess. Spelling is for poor people.
Bitch, get your dumb ass up out of here.
Hey, where you going? Come fuck. What are you doing? At least get me down.
Bitch, my big ass ain't getting up there to get you down. You got yourself up there to get your ass down. Use that dumb ass dress as a parachute.
It's me, Mario, motherfucker.
Oh,
You
shit.
thought you was gonna take my bitch again
Bro,
when I have to
listen,
see these
I
hands?
don't
Now you
want
gotta
it,
get your
bro.
ass rebeat.
Look, I don't want it. You can have her. I did, bro. You look, bro.
You sound like a bitch, Bowser.
Bro, look, I'm coming to you as a man, bro. Like,
And man, you're a turtle sword.
Hey, can you tell this motherfucker what's going on?
Nope, should have threw me the dick when you had a chance.
Bro, just take her and leave. I don't want no smoke, bro.
Bro, you got
Please.
smoke, bro. I got a fire flower. I'm about to set everything on motherfucking fire. I'm gonna take this mushroom and I'm gonna tear this whole motherfucking
God,
house
bro.
down. Because when I take mushrooms, I get big as fuck for some reason. I don't know. I think it's the gas. But you have officially fucked up.
Hey people, I see you smiling, but did you actually hit that like button though? Well, if you want to check out the next part, you're gonna have to go to my boy Ace Vane's page for that. He got some other funny shit on there too. So yeah, go check it out.
He got 30 takeoff.
この場で貴様を破壊するのはたやすいが、それでは失格となる。
お前にぶつける予定だったんだが。
貴様。
破壊を逆手に取った作戦か。
いいぞ、17号。
破壊。これで終わりにしてやる。 が力受けるがいい。
これはほんのお礼ですよ。さらにいいものを差し上げますよ。
それがどうした？破壊されないだけ感謝するのだな。孫悟空とベジータ、小賢しいやつら。
ギレンの技を正面からまともに食らってしまったぞ。
くそー。お前の相手は私だ。
ジレンのせいですが、トッポのあの勢いを食い止めないと。
ベジータ頑張ってくれ。
破壊のエネルギーなんかに負けてたまるか。
貴様は私に勝てない。絶対にな。
あれが奴の破壊神としての力か。前とはまるで比べ物にならん。随分な変わりようだな。
我らの宇宙を守れぬ正義ならば、余計なものを背負う貴様では私には勝てん。余計なものは全て捨てた。
いかん、避けろベジータ。ふざけるな。ブルマ、トランクス、キャベトの約束、俺は貴様とは違う。捨ててたまるか。
すごいですよベジータさん。
口が裂けても言わせんぞ。トッポー、死ななければかな。やれ。
何？
そんな貴様に俺が負けるか。
赤い赤い。
まさか二度と修復できないよ。粉々に吹っ飛ばすことだ。あの時の捨て身の技をやる気かベジータ。トッポー、そんなトッポが負けるなんて。
第11宇宙トッポさん脱落です。
トッポを倒すために命を捨てやがったのか。
ベジータ、そんな。あれはベジータさん。
スーパーサイヤ人ブルー、そしてその先。
だがベジータは今ので完全に力を使い果たした。
17号。
それにこれでもう敵は一人ですよ。
無様だな。所詮この程度か。
何言ってんだ。
いいものを見せてやろう。
ジレン。
じゃジレンのやつ。
あんなのとまともに戦えるのか。お仲間がいなくなっていよいよ本気ってわけか。
ベジータ、
笑わせるな。そんな傷だらけのお前では俺には勝てん。
バカ。人造人間め、余計なことを。どこを見てやがる。
だがそれでは俺を倒せ。
ベジータ。
ジレンめ、なんてやつだ。待て、いいものくれてやるぜ。
17号
無茶しすぎたかな。ジレンが傷を。
おい、17号、大丈夫か。
勝つためだったら何だってやってやる。
オラとベジータでジレンを引きつける。その隙に。
分かった。
作戦会議は終わったか。
こっからはオラたちの番だ。ベジータ、今度は3人同時攻撃でいくぞ。俺たちの連携攻撃が破られるなんて。
潮時か。
好きには勝てませんよ。殺されるべきなんだ。
たった一人で何ができる。
第7宇宙は生き残る。
あいつ
生き残ってどうする。家族とクルーザーで旅行するつもりだ。
ふざけているのか。俺とて叶えたい願いはある。
やはりそうか。ジレン、お前はまだジレンの強さへの執着の理由を。ジレンはある悪党に両親を殺されたんだ。2人3人ジレンの周りには仲間ができた。だが奴は強すぎた。ジレンの仲間は次々と殺された。力なき者は
It's done.
What are you saying? You just said it was done. What does that mean?
Your energy is decreasing with every blow. You're not even a challenge to me anymore.
with the ghost. The shit that you don't head to your throat. Going in.
Commend you for putting up a good struggle, but even a monkey with godlike powers is still a monkey. On your back gasping for air. Quite undignified for the god of monkeys, don't you think?
This can't remember who this is. Holy. The taking.